It's ups and downs in anything. Keep going, my nigga. It's better. Yeah, I damn near had to sacrifice everything. Keep going, my nigga.
It's Risers and Fallers. It's your boy Mello, TMG. We're back with another one. Week 12, segment 12. Simply where we take stock of our athletes and also their organizations. See how they've been doing in the previous week. Before we get started though, I need you guys to follow us on all socials. So that, and all links, audios on the Spotify and Apple Podcasts, socials, there's Instagram, to our links and all our bios right now. You're probably going to see this on Instagram to begin with, but we're making plans. There's, stuff happening behind the scenes to push this on YouTube as well. So make sure you tune into that as long with our visual podcasts as well, which will also be on the YouTube. But show the brothers some love. We're just trying to make, we're trying to stamp our foot in the game. But with that being said, the first riser of the week is going to be Manchester City Football Club. Why? May some ask. Well, in my opinion, first game against PSG last week, the first leg, the biggest game of the season to date. First half is terrible by their standards, completely outplayed. They're on the back foot. There's a goal down thanks to a lovely header by Marquinhos after a lovely, delicious cross whipped in with pace, whipped in with pace, flat corner by Angel Di Maria. And he heads in Marquinhos, my favourite centre-back at the moment, who I believe at the moment is the best centre-back in the world with Van Dijk being injured, Excellent defender, comes up with crucial goals. A bit like how Ramos does, crucial clutch goals, but without, the other side of the game, the dirtiness. He's a much cleaner defender than Ramos, but that's a story for a different day. But what they do, second half, they respond like champions. They come out firing, they push PSG onto the back foot to take the game to PSG. They take the second game and the second half by the scruff of its neck. They starve PSG's superstars, Neymar and Mbappe, off the ball. Neymar especially needs a lot of touches, and if he doesn't get as many touches, he's less threatening. And if he's not getting as many touches, more time Mbappe's going to be less threatening because Neymar usually does feed him a lot of through balls to run onto and cause damage. And so, they managed to score 2 goals, a bit fortuitous. The De Bruyne cross comes shot. It was weird the way it kind of went in, kind of missed everybody and just went into the bottom corner. But that's what they do. They tell you cross it. If especially doing an in-swingers, cross it with pace, aim for the back stick. Because if everyone misses it, the goalkeeper's gonna be caught unawares. With sick or twist type of situation, and the ball could end up in the net. And that's what it did happen. And obviously the free kick, won by Foden, who had a lovely game once more at the highest level. Di Maria whipped it in. It went through the ball. Again, a bit fortuitous, but as they say, you create your own luck. If you're dominating the game, putting pressure onto the opposition, you just deserve some luck at the end of the day, and that's what happened to Manchester City. But also in the Premier League later on in the week, I believe on a Saturday, they defeated Palace 2-0, which also keeps their treble hopes. Well, they've pretty much already won the Premier League, but they're still within the treble, trying to game the Champions League. They also already won the League Cup, so they've got essentially 2 of those 3. And also now they're officially one more win away from securing the Premier League title yet again. And that will be a monumental occasion once more for the club. And, then after that, they can really 110% focus on the Champions League. And we'll see how they go. The second leg is going to be tomorrow, Tuesday. We'll see how that goes, But, from football, we go to basketball. And we go to a ball club. We've been starved of playoff basketball for 11 years since the 08-09 season. It's been a long, long time coming. But now they're back. They're back with a bang. And that is the Phoenix Suns. Actually, I think it's the 09-2010 season, but y'all can correct me on that. But the Phoenix Suns, they're back with a bang. And they may end up the first seed, the overall first seed, not just in the West Conference, but also the West and East combined. So whoever they face, they manage to get to the finals, they will have home court advantage. And what a turnaround it's been for the Phoenix Suns, Ever since the playoff bubble, they were invited to the bubble. They missed out narrowly on playoff contention for last season in the bubble, but they won all 8 games in the bubble, the regular season games they had. And ever since then, they've been the best, especially in the regular season, they've been the best basketball club out of everyone. They've got the best record, and as obviously right now they're top of the standings, joint with Utah, and they're 8-0 in the playoffs. So since the playoffs, like I said, they've been playing the best basketball. But a huge shout out to Monty Williams, their coach, great young coach, finally getting his opportunity. And also Chris Paul, who's completely turned the club around, obviously helping us young stars, or young star like Devin Booker, and also DeAndre Ayton as well, helping them come along and, really giving them that leadership. And, obviously he's, they call him the point guard. Obviously, putting pieces into the right position, giving them that winning mentality that they need in order to become at least successful in the regular season. And so, like I said, it's really transformed that ball club around. In the previous week, they won 3 games against playoff teams, 3 games in a row, Knicks, Clippers, and Utah. And that Utah win could prove very, very, very priceless, because, if that's the difference between them and Utah being a number 1 and number 2 seed, then yeah, they'll look back at it and that'll be essentially the turning point that, or not the turning point, maybe the point that clinched the Western Conference title for themselves. But, we'll see how they go in the playoffs, because essentially right now we're in playoff mode. Teams are jostling for playoff position, play-in position. The teams that they want to escape the play-in, more on that later. So essentially right now we're in playoff mode, all the games, they matter right now, especially the teams that are, like I said, jostling for playoff and play-in contention. But with that being said, we go back to football. And I got an Umbro on. Old school things, classic, because I'm a classic man. Shout out to Dana. How you like me now? But, old school Umbro reminds me, I believe Chelsea used to have Umbro, especially England, Umbro is just an old school brand, Show some love for Umbro. But anyways, Inter Milan. They are now, once more, again, the champions of Italy, the Scudetto Serie A. They ended the Juve 9-year stranglehold of the league title. This is Inter's first title since 2010. First title since 2010. So essentially, Inter had it. Then the next 9 years, next 9 seasons, Juve had it. Gosh, and now Inter got it once more. And it's their 19th title, 19th Scudetto overall since, and only second to Juve with 36. I say only, so they got another at least 17 to catch up. We'll see if they can do that the next 70 odd years, but we'll see. But yeah, shout out to Lukaku, shout out to Conte. Lukaku's kind of been their star man. 21 goals, 10 assists in 33 games, 30 of them starts, 3 off the bench. They sealed the win by beating Crotone 2-0. I believe a couple of days ago. And like I said, once more shout out to Conte playing his famous 3 at the back, 3-5-2. He brought the 3-4-3 to Chelsea once he changed into that formation, I believe, against Arsenal after they lost 3-0. They went on league winning form, and that's what essentially, led them to charge. That's essentially how they won the league in the end, since that was the turning point. That was the turning point. But yeah, they're clinical on the break as they were before. With his teams, they're strong at the back, solid, have a lot of hard workers, and they have quality up top. Lukaku, Lautaro Martinez. He's completely transformed and revitalized players such as Christian Eriksen, who was seen as a kind of like a nobody. He wasn't really going anywhere with the club. People were getting on to him. He left Spurs for this club, hasn't really getting played, hasn't really progressed. But especially in the second half of the season, he's kind of revitalized his form. Perisic as well. Revitalised, showing his worth. Perisic, I love him as a winger. Gives you essentially all you want from a winger: left foot, right foot, hard working, quality crossing, quality strike of the ball, has good pace. I mean, yeah, he's a very good winger, and he was essential, crucial to the Croatia's hopes, or not Croatia's World Cup final run in 2018. I always have the utmost respect for Perisic, but I digress. But, to be fair, as much as the praise I give them, they deserve it. They're the champions. They should soak it all in and soak it all up. They did get knocked out of the Europe Champions League early in Europe as a whole. I believe they finished bottom of their group, in group with Real Madrid and teams of that nature. And what's it called? It's allowed them to focus on the league. They also knocked out early from the cup. But when you got time to focus just on the league, it can prove a turning point in your efforts to win the league. Okay, so from football again, we go back to basketball. I could have stuck in a few guys in boxing, but a lot of the fights, the Chisora, Parker, Ruiz, Ariola, the kind of close, kind of controversial fights. So there wasn't really a clear riser out of those guys, but we'll see how that transpires, especially next week with Canelo and Saunders. But LeBron came back from injury, missed 22 games, 0-2. The Lakers' record since he's been back. Lost to the Sacramento Kings, now lost to the Raptors. Teams are poor these days. To add insult to injury, He re-injured the same right ankle against the Toronto Raptors. He left the game with at least like 4 or 5 minutes, 6 minutes, I believe, left of the whole game in the fourth quarter due to ankle soreness. The Lakers are currently the 6th seed. They want to be the 5th seed. They don't want to have the easier running because the 6th seed is going to play the Clippers first round. And ideally, you don't want to see the Clippers first round, especially when you guys are battling health. You want to have time to build back the chemistry, build back the health, and get back into it. Also, as well, LeBron, people complaining for being whiny, which is true at times. He criticized the NBA for the playing tournament and said the creators should be fined. But which is funny because, LeBron's kind of seen that as the leader of the NBA. But when the playing tournament was announced at the start of the season, you didn't hear LeBron complaining. But obviously now, as there's a high possibility they could be in the playing tournament, because they're tired of Mavericks and they're tired of the Blazers. They got to play the Blazers, and I believe that might, cause some tie-breaking eventuality. So that's a very important game for them. And the Lakers got a tough run in. They play the Nuggets, they play the Clippers, they play the Blazers, the Suns, and the Knicks. All teams with playoff aspirations. So it's going to be very tough for them. And also against the Sacramento Kings, I won't get on him too tough, but he did miss the game winner. He attempted the game winning free and, did miss that one. But LeBron, he needs to turn it up. And he might have missed the game against Denver today. And if he misses, that's most likely going to be another L for the boys. So it's not looking good for them. But from basketball, we go back to football. For one side of Manchester, the blue side, we go to the red side, that being Manchester United. I had second thoughts about putting them in the fallers. But essentially I had to, because whether you want to blame the fans or the club or the owners, whoever, the events that occurred yesterday with the protests ensured that the game against Liverpool, the big derby, arguably their biggest game of the season, at least at the beginning of the season, was cancelled or postponed rather. And we don't want to see games of that magnitude being missed. Like people, they schedule their weekends just for that game. A bank holiday weekend, get the lads in, everyone's there watching the game. But yeah, they were protesting the Glazers after the European Super League fallout, calling for the Glazers to sell out. There's even rumours that United were trying, rumours that United had staff that allowed the fans entrance into the stadium. They were littering, damaging things. Even one officer hospitalized due to a significant slash wound. They say most protests were peaceful, but when you hear stories and reports of officer receiving a significant slash wound, that's kind of contrary to those stories. And also the most important thing as well, this could spark, because United essentially seen as the leader of, one of the leading clubs of the country. It could spark other clubs who have, unrest with their ownership, like Arsenal and other clubs like that. And also other clubs, from the European Super League, like, Chelsea, Tottenham. They could potentially do the same in protest against their owners. So, that's very concerning potentially. And it's a shame because United currently are playing really, really well, the best football they've played in a long time. And, it's a shame that this is kind of taking the eyeballs off their play on the pitch. But to round up, our final fall of the week, Luka Dončić, which is a shame because, he's been playing fantastic basketball. But he was ejected, and now he's one tech away from suspension. Currently has 15 techs. Once you get 16 techs, and they're on after, every single tech is a game suspended, and you don't want him missing games because, we're going into the playoffs now, and for him not to get another tech from now, even throughout the whole playoff run, it's going to be hard for him to do potentially. And, the first tech was for the correct offensive call, and he yelled at the ref, hell nah, shook his head, unsportsmanlike, showing disrespect to the referee. Tech. Second call was for within 31.8 seconds left of the game. He throws the ball down the court instead of giving the ball to the ref. Again, disrespect, unsportsmanlike. Another tech, and those techs they're in bounds, and it's very crucial because you don't want him missing games as they jostle for playoff positioning, all that sort of thing, and the playoffs themselves. You don't want that to be happening. You really and truthfully, you don't want him missing games. If Luka misses games, they're going to suffer. But Luka, he kind of feels, he's a superstar player right now. And, the level he's playing at is on the cusp of that, doing those things. But he feels he should get the high quality water, high quality H2O. But, he feels he should have the superstar calls that Kevin Durant and LeBron James get. And he's not getting the calls, and he's whining. He's, starting to get a reputation for being the whiniest crybaby, which will go against him, because when refs, they talk, and when refs talk to each other and they see this sort of stuff, they're going to use it against you, and they're going to be ready to be calling fouls going the other way against you before they've even looked at, So that's something to look for him to take into consideration. But, you know, it's your boy Mello, TMG, Rise and Fallers, make sure you tune in. And I'm out.